Hello and welcome to Angry Andy Reviews, and this is my review for Enola Holmes. Now, Enola Holmes is an adaptation of the book series of the same name, written by Nancy Springer in 2006. It stars Millie Bobby Brown as the title character and sister to both Sherlock and Mycroft, the famous Holmes brothers. Directed by Harry Bradbeer and released worldwide on Netflix, the film follows Enola Holmes as she sets out in search of her missing mother. Along the way, she is drawn into a web of intrigue and attempted murder as she crosses paths with a runaway lord. As a vehicle to showcase her talents, this film is perfect for Millie Bobby Brown. She is the absolute highlight of the film, stealing each and every scene that she is in and comfortably goes toe-to-toe with both Henry Cavill and Sam Claflin. The confidence and progressive performance that she showcases is one that will inevitably enhance her standing in the long run and propel her far beyond Stranger Things and the forgettable Godzilla King of the Monsters. She is bright and self-assured throughout the entirety of the film, and her charm shines through, especially in the moments when Enola breaks the fourth wall and directly converses with the audience, which we have seen many times before, but here it works perfectly and it comes across in the most cleanest way you can imagine. Her performance itself lends perfectly to the style of the film, which itself is airy and light with some interesting plot developments. You will, however, see practically every major development coming in this film. There are no real surprises, there are no great shocks or revelatory conclusions. It is, in many ways, quite a simple film in plot and construction, and that's the point. This is a film that is elevated purely by its performances, which in itself isn't such a bad thing, as everything is performed with a wink, a nod and a cheeky ruffle of the nose that completes the feeling of a wholly charming adventure. Now, as I said, alongside Millie Bobby Brown, you have Henry Cavill as the shrewd and somewhat muscular Sherlock Holmes. I really liked his small yet intricate performance here, a performance that feeds into the mystery, the mysterious nature of Sherlock, and is an extremely different take on the character than we have seen in some time. Well, of course, we had Benedict Cumberbatch as the modern sort of calculating mastermind, and then we had obviously our good friend Robert Downey Jr.'s performance, which yes, was set in Victorian times, but was nowhere near as regal or as pondering as Cavill's is in this one. Cavill exudes the Victorian image of a man who clearly is at odds with the expectation of a man in this era, but one that still understands the need for protocol, and that feeds perfectly into the development of Enola's character and his own progression. Sam Claflin plays Mycroft Holmes and is absolutely revelling in the role of the obtuse and staccato Victorian gentleman who takes it upon himself to oversee Enola's transition into a fully fledged member of society. Enola directly clashes with both Sherlock and Mycroft, desperate to forge her own path with the skills she has obtained from her mother. Enola is sharp, aware of her surroundings, skilled in combat, and has a penchant for solving mysteries to the surprise of both of the male characters. But where the real character arc comes from is the challenges she faces despite the skills she has already. She faces multiple tests to both her independence and her physical attributes, which culminates in character growth for herself, Sherlock, and Mycroft to some degree. And all of it feels well earned and justified. She is not simply someone who can do everything all at once, unlike another character, but I won't get into that. She has these skills, but to practically use them, she has to adapt within herself and within these new surroundings. She has never seen the city before. She doesn't know what society looks like. She has been shut away for a very long time. It's almost Sarah Connor in Terminator 2. She's very rigid in her approaches, but as she comes out into the real world and is forced to make decisions, forced into situations that really test her, that's when she comes into her own. And it is quite quite fun to watch, to be fair, and it feels charming and realistic. She doesn't have all the answers, and that's the point. She doesn't have all the abilities. She falls, she gets hurt. The key is that she learns and adapts throughout these trials and tribulations that she undergoes, and Millie Bobby Brown underpins it all with a natural flair and charm, as I said. The film is really well shot, and the setting enhances that light and airy feel that I mentioned. Could it have been more representational of the real Victorian era? Possibly. And while it does show you some level of the dank and hard world that was the period in time, it never really delves into the underground and the harsh reality of life at that time. The script does serve the characters well, but beyond that, it's quite thin, and it doesn't really delve too deeply into anything beyond the mild mystery. It does raise plenty of notions on women's suffrage, which was well underway at this point in history, and it does so in a believable and accessible way for its audience without smashing people over the head with it. It's showing the challenges women faced and still face to express themselves behind the scenes and away from ruthless prying eyes. And Enola as a character cements this factor and is the spearhead for this film in that regard, as much for our own development as for the progression of women's rights as a whole. This is a really good fun film. The characters, the humour, all serve to create an enjoyable, albeit not original, take on a very familiar tale. It does feel like it's been done before. It doesn't really give us anything new, but like I said, the performances are key here. The performances elevate this film beyond what I believe it probably would have resulted in, to be quite honest. It really is that groundbreaking from a performance perspective for Millie Bobby Brown. I would expect huge things from her going forward. Like I said, groundbreaking, it is not. Jolly good fun? I think it is. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I was hovering about a 6, but those performances really do just push it that little bit further, and I would wholly recommend it just for that alone, just for those performances, just to see, what potential she does actually have. But there you have it. That has been my review for Enola Holmes. Now, films are coming slowly, surely, but of course there are still question marks over what's going to happen. A lot of films are being pushed back into next year now, which doesn't really help at all, but I'll keep thrashing out film reviews as and when they come, and as and when I get to see them. I still haven't seen Tenet. I just can't get round to seeing it, and I probably won't be able to see it until maybe a DVD release or it goes onto a streaming service. That's just the way it is at the minute. That is the world we live in. But I will leave it there for now. I will stop rambling. If you enjoyed this review, please do leave a like, leave a comment. Have you seen this film? Do you want to see it? Will you see it now, after what you have just heard me sprechen towards you? Again, if you want to see more stuff like this, or see some collectible unboxings from Star Wars toys, etc., etc., please do subscribe to the channel, and thank you very much for watching. I can't speak. I've had a cold. Let me off. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.